What's up? Welcome into the Kansas City Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. We are back in the studio. We didn't have a live show last week because your boy was on paternity leave, had our son last Wednesday, but we're back in the studio, hanging out here 10 days before the draft. We're fired up to talk some Chiefs football with you, the latest news and rumors. We'll take your questions, and I've cooked up a brand new mock draft, so I'm fired up. If you are too, go ahead and like this video. Let's see what you guys are saying. Shout out your city in the chat, and we'll get this party started.
Actually, Harrison, that was the first question on deck, but I think I want everyone to go ahead and congratulate you and Hannah on the new baby. PJ doing well, thankfully. And we missed you in the office last week, and we're all very happy for Harrison, obviously. So spam the chat, type congrats instead of your city, and go ahead and congratulate Harrison. We'll get some shout-outs on that instead.
Well, appreciate you guys, and appreciate everybody that reached out on social media, whether it was Twitter or Instagram. I tried to like and reply to some tweets, but obviously it was pretty busy. Shout out to Shad, Tony, Mike, SG. We got Chase in there, Jeremiah Carpenter, Edward, Chase, J.A., Ice Time in the chat. Chris saying congrats. Appreciate all the love, all the support. Everyone's doing well. A bit fatigued, but that is to be expected. Flip, Matt, SG, all dropping it in the comments. Appreciate the real ones and appreciate producer Sammy Brown hanging out with us today as well. Sup, there you go. All right, how about this for the question of the day? Will the Chiefs trade for DeAndre Hopkins? And I know there's probably some fatigue from this rumor, but there's just more angles that keep coming out. So what do you think? Why for yes and for no? Will they trade for DeAndre Hopkins? Get your votes in. Get your votes in the chat. Let's see what you guys are thinking. Mike says yes. SG says yes. So does Tony, Chase. We got Jeremiah says I wish, but no. Tony Fuentes says yes. Chase says yes. JS and Flip say yes. Wheelchair Chuck Lee says not gonna happen. Andrew says yes. Edward says no.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, Harrison, but if the Chiefs do pull this off, I believe the offense goes back to being downright terrifying every single week that they play. Like this offense this last year was scary, but that Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce duo was terrifying. Well, I think it's getting back to that.
And what's crazy is that this year's offense actually was more efficient than the prior year without Tyreek Hill, but you had DeAndre Hopkins. It's like, whew, that's an absolute game
I guess
changer.
that raises the bigger question then, is it scarier to have two of those top-tier guys like a Nuke and a Travis Kelce, or to just have multiple pretty solid weapons?
I think what the Tyreek Hill trade allowed for is it gave them more flexibility to just kind of have deeper weapons, because now and I think that would still be true with Hopkins, because you would have Kelce, Hopkins, Kadarius Toney, MVS, Sky Moore, potentially Richie James if he ends up making this team. And then, if you bring back Jarrett McKinnon, I like him as a receiving weapon as well. So I'm all in on getting DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see if that ends up happening. Whoa, shout out to I'm Da Brown paying the diaper fund. Congrats. Shout out to you. Hey, listen, PJ is 5 days old, and I couldn't even tell you how many diapers he's already gone through. It's got to be... Let me just guess here. I would guess it's between 50 and 100, if not more.
He's getting all
That's a lot.
He's getting all of the Raider out of his system.
Exactly. Every time he takes a dump, I just FLV. That's the first thing I think. So, appreciate that. I'm Da Brown. That's love. We will definitely need some diaper money, so appreciate that. Okay, let's talk about the draft. Name a player the Chiefs should draft this year. First round on a week from Thursday, and then, of course, rounds 2 and 3 on Friday, and then rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday. Name a player that you guys think the Chiefs should draft, and we'll get some shout-outs here. Just tweeting out the stream here real quick. Bear with me, fellas.
Here, I can go ahead and get some shout-outs right now. Name a player the Chiefs should draft. PJ stands for Patrick Jr., right? That was something I did propose to Harrison.
That was in contention.
Nolan Smith from Flip. Richie James Jr. That's not right, is it? Richie James Jr. From SG Sports Talk channel.
That's they already signed Richie James, if that's what you're referring to.
Jalen Hyatt from Tony Fuentes. Jorge says we need a number 1 wide receiver. At least one that can develop into one, right? I think. Could you maybe still have that with Kadarius Toney? You just really haven't
I think the Chiefs think he could be that, but I do think they should still look to get that top flight guy, even if it's at short term. Like, that's the thing with Hopkins. Like, you don't have to view that as like a long term deal. Like, you could bring him in, be your number 1 for a couple years, and then move on, restructure his deal. I think he's got 2 years left on it. Maybe add a year to it and restructure it. He's here 2 or 3 years, and then someone else is your number 1 by then. So I definitely think that could be the case. So it's for those wondering, Peter James, PJ Graham. That's his name. Let's see. What are people saying? Derek Deasy from San Jose State. I'll be honest. I haven't dug that deep in my draft prep yet, but I'll look into him. Quentin Johnston. If Quentin Johnston's there at 31 and there's some chatter that he could slide, that would be amazing. Like, you put him in this offense at 6'3", 210, who can give you yards after the catch. That would be electric. I'd be fired up. Shout out to Ryan for the diaper fund. Appreciate the $1, Ryan. You're a real one. You are a real one. JS says TCU kid transferred from Bama is a stud. Are you talking about the running back, Jay? Who I'm blanking on his name. Trey Sanders, I think is his name. We'll see. That or the offensive lineman, Brockermeyer, who transferred. Should be interesting. Okay, grade Patrick Mahomes' contract, and the reason I'm asking this is because Jalen Hurts, who we'll talk about in our Chiefs News and Rumors segment, just signed a 5-year, $255 million deal. So $51 million per year, which
highest paid player in NFL history.
Which is more per year than Patrick Mahomes, which is amazing when you think about it. How is it not an A? I mean, the Mahomes contract, and we'll talk about this more, continues to look better and better. Justin Herbert's going to get a new deal soon. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, what happens there? We'll see. But every time one of these guys signs a deal, the Mahomes deal just looks better and better. Tony says A++. From Chad Jameson. Chase Haddock says A++. Someone says trade up for Broderick Jones or bust. I am intrigued in trading up for an offensive tackle or an edge. And, hey, we'll have a Chiefs mock draft today, and maybe I do trade up. Stay tuned. Tony says A. Charles Amenahue in the chat as well. By the way, who's on do we know who's on Community? Will you get the doc into Parati for me? I meant to do that as well. Let's see. Congrats, buddy, from Tony. Appreciate that. Liz Bastic says A+. Chase says A++. Let's see. Infinity of A's. He should own stock in the Chiefs. And look, here's the deal. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where, like, Patrick Mahomes is severely underpaid. And look, like, based on other deals, he is. But I think the thing with Mahomes, dude, is he is always going to be taken care of by the Chiefs. Like, it wouldn't shock me if he had stake in ownership one day. Like, he's got stake in ownership in the Royals and whatnot. So I think he's perfectly chilling with this $500 million contract. But it just goes to show, I mean, if he wanted to just sign 3- and 4-year deals, he could make probably double the money that he's going to end up making, which is pretty darn crazy to think about. SG, appreciate you commenting. You don't have to spam that much, but appreciate it. Flip says A+. Zaz with the super chat. We'll throw that in there, and we can probably throw this one in to the little mailbag as well. We'll take your questions. Shout out Zaz. What pick would you feel comfortable trading up for Broderick Jones or Paris Johnson if they fall? #Chiefs Kingdom. I mean, late teens maybe. Like, if one of those guys gets to like 18 or 20 or so, I'd be intrigued. I think that's kind of the range you start thinking about a trade up if you're KC. Like, I don't think you're going to move into the top 10 for a player, but I think once you get beyond 16, 17, I think that could be the range. The Chargers pick at 21, so if you want to leapfrog them for a player, get there at 20. Tampa's picking at 19. That could be a spot. Tampa maybe is a team that could look to trade down and compile more picks. So I would definitely think that could be possible.
I'll tell you what, Zez, this will be the very first question on our mailbag. So if anyone else wants to be the second question up on the mailbag, the Super Chat queue starts right there, the quay, so to speak. Sorry, the Super Chat quay.
The quay.
So If you want to get your questions on the show, use hashtag Chiefs. But if you want to make sure they get on the show, the Super Chat's the way to go. Shout out to Zez and shout out to the Diaper Fund funders. I'm Brown and Ryan for Super Chatting already.
By the way, JS, that Kyle Pitts comment, throw hashtag Chiefs on that. I think that'd be a good mailbag discussion right there. So if you throw hashtag Chiefs into that same message, JS, we will talk about that Kyle Pitts comment/question that you had. I think that would be a good one to discuss here on the Chiefs Report. All right, you guys know the drill. If you love the Chiefs, like this video. Let's get to 50 likes before we jump into today's live show. We're at 24 likes. Got a double. Let's get to 50. Then we can jump on.
Do it for PJ.
Yeah, like the show for my son, man.
Let's go. Peter.
He might. Him and my wife could tune in at some point. They might be napping right now, but we'll see.
Ever since you have said it's Peter, and I do like the name, I just always think of the first Peter I can think of is Griffin. So I just hear Lois calling him Peter.
Peter.
So I think I'm just gonna call him Peter every time from now on.
Peter. Hey, I do like pita bread. It's good stuff. 32 likes. Got to get to 50. Let's go. Tony has liked it. We got another Tony Smith, who's liked the video. Zez again with the super chat. Shout out Zez, supporting the Diaper Fund. Appreciate that. Throwing the Chiefs Kingdom in there as well. Appreciate you, Zez. Flip has liked it. We got 36 likes. Got to get to 50. We got 115 people watching. We can get to 50 likes. Zez has liked it. Paul Hannon has liked it. Plenty of hashtag Chiefs questions coming in as well. Jay did hashtag Chiefs with like 4 S's. I don't even know if that'll pick up in the software, Jay. Got to throw hashtag Chiefs, just spell the word properly. John has liked it. 5 likes away. Michael Andrew Taylor has liked it as well. Just tickle that like button. Come on. T Green has liked the video.
Just give it a little tap, 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 tap.
Is that Trent Green in the chat liking the video? I'd like to think it is. Give it a tap. 2 more. 2 likes away, and we can start this show, and it's going to be a good one because I unveil my latest Chiefs mock draft. 1 more like, and we're there. Which, by the way, I don't know if I liked it. Oh, I haven't. I can be number 50, actually number 51, as we just crossed 50, up to 54 now. Appreciate the love, fellas. Hashtag Chiefs Super Chat. We get to your questions after our Chiefs News and Rumors segment. Plus, I unveil my latest mock draft, and we got a juicy trade in there. So buckle up. Busy show here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. Before we jump into the latest Chiefs news and rumors, I am back. I was on paternity leave, but we are back and better than ever. So subscribe right now. This is the time to subscribe to the Chiefs Report. Chiefs news, rumors, free agency, draft coverage, a lot of draft stuff the next couple of weeks. So hit that subscribe button. We're going to have you guys covered. And the reason I was out, like I said, paternity leave, my wife and I, Hannah and myself, as I botched that, had our son PJ. There's the 3 of us in the hospital. We're all good to go. Had the first pediatric appointment today, checked all the boxes, so we're feeling good, we're happy. Appreciate all the love and support. And with that being said, let's jump into today's video. I'm Harrison Graham, and you are watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. Look, I know we've talked about DeAndre Hopkins a lot. Tyler Jones, who filled in on a couple of videos, talked about D-Hop on Sunday's show, but new angles continue to emerge. Does D-Hop want to be in Kansas City? It certainly appears that he does. He heavily hinted that he would like to be traded to the Chiefs. Now, he hopped on a podcast. What is it called here, Sam? All Things Covered. And basically, the guy who does this podcast asked him about 4 teams and said, don't verbally say yes or no, but give me kind of a emoji reaction, if you will. And the Chiefs were the 4th team he was asked about, and he kind of gave like a, yeah, interested. He didn't give a good reaction to the Patriots or the Jets. He also liked the idea of going to Buffalo, so Buffalo, KC. You kind of look at this list, right? And to me, it's like DeAndre Hopkins wants to play for a contender. I don't view New England as that. The Jets could be that with Aaron Rodgers if and when that trade goes through, but it's still the Jets. I mean, Kansas City is definitely a leg up, and so is Buffalo, but the Chiefs are a leg up from all of those teams, and I think DeAndre Hopkins is sitting here saying, look, I'm 31 years old. I played for a lot of bad teams, a couple of decent Texans teams, but it hasn't worked out in Arizona. He's made his money. Now he's got a chance to go get a ring, and I think he knows if he teams up with Patrick Mahomes, they can do some great things together in terms of production, but also winning, which is something that Nuke has not done a lot in his career. More to discuss here, but what do you guys think? Want you guys to weigh in on the show. Will the Chiefs trade for DeAndre Hopkins? Just predict it, yes or no. There's been a lot of chatter. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Will Kansas City trade for Hopkins? Give your votes down in the comments section. Okay, obviously we've talked quite a bit about his recent years as well. You know, the last couple haven't gone quite to plan. Last year he had a suspension, missed a couple of other games, but still productive when out there, averaged well over 80 yards a catch, or right at 80 yards a catch in 9 games. The year before missed some time, but still productive when he was out there, had 8 touchdowns. 2020 he was fantastic with 1,400 yards and 6 scores. His time in Houston was actually really good as well, obviously. And again, I continue to say, you look at this wide receiver room, and I just think you can upgrade here. Obviously, you add Richie James into the fold. Justin Watson is back as well. But at the same time, you don't really have that proven number one guy. I think Kadarius Toney could be that, but a lot to prove there. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he's a nice kind of knows his role receiver. He's not a number one. Sky Moore, he's still got a lot to prove. Watson's a wide receiver 5 type. Richie James is a 3-4 type. The point is, I'm still in on trading for D-Hop, as long as the price isn't too steep in terms of draft capital. Now, part of the equation for Kansas City is probably, okay, do they want to absorb that big contract? Well, would Hopkins agree to a restructure? I think he would have to consider doing that if he wants to guarantee himself getting traded. Otherwise, he might have to settle for staying in Arizona, and we know Kyler Murray's going to miss a good chunk of this season, so that's not a team that wants to contend. If he wants to play for a contender and play deep into January and hopefully into February, he's going to have to agree to a restructure. It's just as simple as that. Will he do it? I don't know. I would like to think so, but you just never know what players are going to do if they value money the most or winning. Now, the Chiefs have plenty of draft capital to throw at Arizona. I think my recent trade idea was either throw 95 or 122 at Arizona, you know, 3rd or 4th round pick. I don't think the Cardinals are going to get premium selections here. Maybe they will. I don't think they will, but I could be proven wrong. I think if you could get him straight up for 95 with a restructure, I would do it. Definitely would do it for 122. So certainly something that could happen between now and the NFL draft. I hope DeAndre Hopkins is a Chief. If you hope he is as well, let your voice be heard in the comment section below. Today's show is sponsored by Z-Biotics, and let's face it, y'all, after you hit me with a bunch of super chats sometimes and we start drinking, throwing down some shots, things get a little hectic, and I don't bounce back well the next day, especially now I am approaching 30 years old, but I do now. That is thanks to Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcoholic Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut, where you need it the most. Drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol, and drink responsibly, and make sure you get a good night's sleep to help feel your best tomorrow. Give Z-Biotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. And get 15% off your first order when you use code ChatSports at checkout. It's Z-Biotics. This product is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will return your money, no questions asked. Remember, zbiotics.com/chatsports, code ChatSports for 15% off. It comes in this simple vial. It's really just like a pocket shot. You take it night before drinking, have a fun night, you're going to be good to go. You wake up, you're not going to have that hangover like you normally do. You're going to be feeling nice and refreshed. zbiotics.com/chatsports, code ChatSports for 15% off. Thanks to Z-Biotics for sponsoring today's show. All right, let's talk about the NFL news of the day, and that is Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, who gets a nice contract, 5 years, $255 million deal with almost $180 million guaranteed with the Philadelphia Eagles. And man, that's a large contract. Now, if you're Philly, you don't really have a choice because you just went to the Super Bowl with this guy, and his play was certainly a big reason why. But the reason I want to talk about it on the Chiefs report is because Patrick Mahomes is now the 6th highest paid quarterback in terms of average money per year. Remember, I remember early mid 2021 when the Chiefs started 3-4. A lot of the comments here on the channel and across social media were, "Oh yeah, that big contract screwed the Chiefs. Mahomes, he's overpaid." Yeah, I think we probably feel stupid for anyone saying that now. I mean, Hurts is making 51 a year. Aaron Rodgers, who's almost 40, is making 50. Russell Wilson makes more. He stinks. Kyler Murray is not close to Mahomes. Watson had 25 sexual assault accusations, and he's making more per year. The point is, in my opinion, and it's weird to say when the dude signed a $500 million contract, Patrick Mahomes has the most team-friendly contract in all of sports. For how good he is, I mean, this is the best player in the NFL, not just quarterback, best player, and the numbers prove that. We've never seen a quarterback start a career as good as he has in 80 career games, and these are just the raw numbers. That doesn't talk about the 2 MVPs, the 2 Super Bowls, the 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 5 straight conference championship appearances. I mean, it is unprecedented what this guy has done, and he's the 6th highest paid quarterback in average annual value. I mean, it's unreal. Great contract. And look, I'm sure Mahomes is plenty happy with the $500 million deal. The point is, though, never let anyone tell you that this guy didn't sign a team-friendly contract. It was team-friendly at the time, and as deals continue to come down the pipe, it's going to continue to be that way. Grade Mahomes' contract. I mean, it's got to be an A++++, no? I mean, I don't see how anybody could give it less than an A. It's an unbelievable contract for Kansas City, and it's going to allow them to be flexible for years to come as they continue to chase championships. And again, it's possible that by the end of this offseason, he's the 10th highest paid quarterback in average annual value. It's possible Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert, who are all eligible for extensions, top $45 million per year. In fact, I would say it's likely. I mean, Patrick Mahomes could enter 2023 after winning Super Bowl MVP and regular season MVP as the 10th highest paid QB. This deal is only going to get better and better. And look, maybe the Chiefs do him a solid down the line on this contract and give him some pay bumps in there because he certainly would be deserving. And look, he's never going to struggle or anything like that. Like, we're not talking, in the grand scheme of things, like, he's set up his family for generations to come. But it's a pretty incredible deal for the Chiefs. Never get that twisted in your heads. All right, one more story here. Jawaan Taylor, where is the Chiefs' newest offensive tackle going to play? I mean, the assumption has kind of been that he will play left tackle. Andy Reid talked about the topic today as the Chiefs' offseason program began today, April 17th. He did not rule out him staying at right tackle, which is where he played in Jacksonville. Here's what Big Red had to say. He said, even though he was on the right side, I think he can transfer to the left. He's a really good athlete, and I think he's excited about that. That doesn't mean he can't play on the right side. If he had another left tackle, he could play on the right side. So he gives you flexibility. He could probably jump in at guard. He's smart. He could probably play center if he had to. He's a really talented kid. I think on paper right now, Jawaan Taylor's clearly your left tackle, and Lucas Niang would be your right. But I think Andy Reid is just kind of offering just an inch of flexibility because there's some pretty intriguing left tackles early on in this draft. If Kansas City were to go out and draft a left tackle, who they could flip to right to play right tackle, but maybe a guy like Paris Johnson Jr. or Broderick Jones dips a little bit and they trade up and go get one of those guys. They keep that player at left tackle and put Jawaan Taylor at right. Now, Jawaan Taylor would be the highest paid right tackle in football at $20 million per year, 4 years, $80 million, but who cares? Get the best 5 out there, right? And if drafting a guy in the first round to keep him at left tackle makes more sense, I certainly think that could be the case for Kansas City. Now, where do you guys think Jawaan Taylor will play? I think as of right now, it's about a 97% chance it'll be left tackle, but again, there are a couple guys in this draft that I think could create an exception to that 97%. LT for left tackle, RT for right tackle. Let me know where you guys think the Chiefs' big free agent acquisition will play on this offensive line. All right, guys, appreciate all the support again with my wife and I as we welcome our son PJ to the world. Easy way to support us and support Chat Sports. Subscribe to the channel. It's 100% free. We don't charge a dime. A lot of channels do charge. We do not do that. So if you want to support, you can do that. More videos to come, especially with the NFL draft just around the corner. All right, we'll get some shout-outs here for Jawaan Taylor. What do you guys think on this one? Tony says right tackle. Freddie says left tackle. Paul says right. Flippin' T Green say right. I'll be fascinated to see. Like, if the Chiefs draft Broderick Jones, for example, I think Taylor could end up playing right. And I'd be okay with that. Sure, he'd be overpaid for a right tackle, but you know what? Who cares? Like, get your best 5 out there. That's where he's played his entire career. Let's see. Heike says left. Michael says left. Matt and John say right. Again, I think as of this moment, he's most likely to play left, but I would not rule out a scenario where he plays right tackle. But if the Chiefs played a game today, he'd play left. They don't have an adequate left tackle option beyond him. Like Lucas Niang, he's not flipping to left tackle. There's just no way. All right, mailbag time here on the channel. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. We got a couple Super Chats, 1 or 2 that we're going to lead things off with. But if you want to skip the line and get toward the top of that quay here on the channel, hit that Super Chat function. The Diaper Fund, as our guy earlier called it, if you want to support that. Otherwise, hashtag Chiefs, get your questions on that way. Can't guarantee those, but we will get to as many as we can. Here we go. It is mailbag time here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. You're watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. It is mailbag time. 2 ways to get on the show. Super Chat jumps you to the front of the line, or you can use hashtag Chiefs and ask your question that way. Either way, hashtag Chiefs Super Chat to get your questions on the show. From Zez, kicking things off here with a $5 Super Chat. Shout out to you. What pick would you feel comfortable trading up for Broderick Jones or Paris Johnson if they fall? Hashtag Chiefs Kingdom. First of all, I'll get Chiefs Kingdom going in the chat. I think like the mid-late teens would be a spot I would consider moving up for one of these tackles. Andy Reid did not rule out Jawaan Taylor still playing right tackle. As of now, he would play left, but if they like Paris Johnson or Broderick Jones as a left tackle, or even as a right tackle, they could play right tackle too. I think late teens could be a spot to consider that move. I don't think they're going to trade up into the top 10 for one of these guys, but say you get to 18, 19, I think Tampa at 19 is an intriguing team to trade up with potentially, so I think that could be the range. Ryan says, I still think we should draft Isaiah Foskey. Yeah, I think, 63 is a potential option there, the Notre Dame edge. I think 31's too early, but he's a productive big edge rusher. We know that Spags likes his 4-3 defensive ends bigger, and he's got good size, so I think that's a guy to consider in round 2. He might be gone by 63, so maybe it's a trade back from 31 or a trade up from 63 scenario, but I do think that he will go at some point in the second round. From better QB than Carr and Jimmy. Agree. Bar's not very high there. Should Kansas City trade for Budda Baker? A lot of Budda Baker trade buzz because he requested a trade from Arizona. I don't think the Chiefs are a team that makes much sense, even though he's a great player. You've already got Justin Reed on a pretty expensive contract there. Brian Cook entering his second year as another safety. You brought in Mike Edwards. I don't think you really need a safety. Now, Budda Baker would instantly be your best safety. Like, don't get me wrong. He would upgrade the position. It's just, you're not lacking there. You know what I mean? Like, you've got enough at that spot. Like, are you going to trade a second-round pick for Budda Baker and then probably give him a contract extension? Seems unlikely. I think other suitors will make more sense. But we'll let you guys decide. Do you want Budda Baker? Should Kansas City trade for him? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. This will be the pinned comment on today's video, so drop a Y or an N on today's show. Chad Jameson, hashtag Chiefs. Do you think the Chiefs should move Trey Smith to right tackle since it's easier to find a guard than tackle? He was a top prospect at tackle in high school and early college. No, he's built like a guard. And you found him in the 6th round because he dropped due to that heart condition coming out of Tennessee. You don't mess with a good thing. He's one of the better young guards in football. Keep him at right guard. You don't need to complicate it. Right tackle, you don't need an absolute beast there. I think if Lucas Niang is healthy, I'm a little biased. He went to my alma mater. But, in 2021, before his injury, he was playing at an adequate level. Was he awesome? No, but he was a starting level right tackle. The rest of your line is pretty loaded. If your right tackle is league average, that's fine. You don't need to have an elite player there. Now, if you can find one in the draft to upgrade, sure, I am all for that, but I'm not moving Trey Smith out to tackle. Jay Sadek, what would the DeAndre Hopkins trade look like if we were to trade for him? I think you send 95 or 122 to Arizona and call it a day. I'm not sending a second-round pick for him. I may not even send a third at this point, but I probably would send 95 if he agreed to a restructure. I would bite that bullet because I still think he's very good. But we'll see what happens. Arizona's holding out for a better offer. From Tony Fuentes, would the Chiefs draft Jalen Hyatt in the second round? I don't think he'll fall to 63. I actually think 31 could be about the range for him. Now, he could go between like 25 and 50 perhaps. Like maybe you trade up in round 2 or trade out of the first round to take him early second round. I would be shocked if he was at 63. Now, his teammate Cedric Tillman at 63? Yeah, we're talking. I think that's probably about the range for the other Tennessee wide receiver who's not as fast, but is also a threat down the field at 6'3" and about 215 pounds. From Jay, what are your way too early season predictions? I mean, just like record and stuff. Look, the floor with the Patrick Mahomes healthy team has been 12 wins, so I'll say 13-4. And they're the favorites in the AFC. Doesn't mean they'll get to the Super Bowl and win it, but they're the favorites until they're dethroned. I think Mahomes will be in the MVP mix again. I do think this defense could be better than last year. Think about all the rookie corners they played and had play well. Like if Josh Williams and Jalen Watson, these guys take another step forward, this secondary could be pretty nice, especially if Brian Cook can help fill the shoes left by Juan Thornhill. So, yeah, I think that could be a bold prediction that this defense takes a step forward here, which would be very, very nice. Today's show is sponsored by Z-Biotics. Listen, I don't bounce back well these days after a night of drinking. I'm almost 30 years old now. I'm a dad. When I go out and have a couple of drinks, I kind of have to cut myself off. Otherwise, the headache's going to hit pretty hard. That is until Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics pre-alcoholic probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol, and make sure you drink responsibly to get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Give Z-Biotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports to get 15% off your first order when you plug in the code chatsports at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money back guaranteed, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Comes in this little vial right here. You just drink this before you go out and drink, and you're going to be feeling nice and refreshed the next day. Have a Z-Biotic shot there, drink responsibly, and then enjoy the next day. Get out, go on a run, you'll be good to go. zbiotics.com/chatsports, code chatsports, get 15% off. That link and code will be in the description and in the comments of this mailbag video. Okay, Chappell, what is your reaction to the Jalen Hurts contract? We just talked about it in our Chiefs News and Rumors segment, Chappell, but my main reaction is that Mahomes' contract continues to be incredibly team-friendly. He's now the 6th highest-paid quarterback in the NFL in terms of average annual value. I like Jalen Hurts. I think this could handicap Philly moving forward because I think he's a really, really good quarterback. Is he elite if you lose some of these big-time players around him over time? Time will tell. We'll have to see. Mike Nintendo Master, what is the Chiefs' biggest need? I think it's edge rusher and then wide receiver. I still think the Chiefs have good depth at receiver, but I think getting that number 1 type is still something that they could use. So I would say those two positions. Then maybe defensive tackle would be a distant third. They've got flexibility with the rest of the roster. Oh, right tackle too. Another offensive tackle. From Freddie Martinez, what is the Chiefs' % chance of taking a receiver? I'm just going to say you assume in round 1. I would say throughout the draft, close to 100. They'll take a receiver at some point. Round 1, 35? I mean, I think receiver's definitely going to be in the mix there. I think offensive tackle could be in the mix, and I think edge rusher. I do think the chances of it being one of those three positions is probably like 80 plus, with some flexibility. Maybe you fall in love with one of these corners or maybe one of the tight ends you really like, but I think receiver will definitely be in the conversation. From Zez, Jonathan Mingo or Cedric Tillman? It's a tough question. Mingo's been rising up boards, 6'2". He runs a 4.46. Tillman was a better college player, but Mingo maybe have better potential. Maybe you go Mingo for that reason because you have enough quality depth at receiver right now. He's got a better chance of being a number one in the NFL, in my opinion, so I might lead Jonathan Mingo. Name a player that you guys think the Chiefs should go out and draft. Drop a name down in the comment section below. Put your GM hat on and make the pick and let us know who you think the Chiefs should draft. And continue to use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. A few more here. Kevin Gonzalez, you think a trade for an edge is available? Well, Danielle Hunter is not reporting to the Vikings offseason program. He wants a new contract. He's on the final year of his deal. I think he could be a guy that's available on the trade block. Beyond that, producer Sam, any edges that have been discussed in trades recently? None really popped to mind. I mean, you could still go sign someone like Clowney or Ngakoue or someone like that. Chase, there was chatter around Chase Young. Maybe Washington would reset. Zadarius Smith, if Minnesota wants to move him or Hunter. But, yeah, we'll see. I think one of those Vikings dudes could be available. From Jay, could you see Brett Veach trading away Chris Jones? I don't. I said the same thing about Tyreek Hill, though, so I won't rule it out. The reason I wouldn't completely rule it out is Chris Jones is 29 years old. Do you want to give a 29-year-old defensive tackle over $100 million on a new deal? Because that's what it's going to cost, unless he agrees to like a 2-year extension, 2 years, $50 million or something like that. But, there could be a real conversation of, bigger guys don't age as well. It's just natural, right? Like, if you're 210 pounds or 310 pounds, which guy has a better chance of playing into his mid-30s? Probably the 210-pound guy. That's just science. So, look, I love Chris Jones. I hope he plays his entire career in Kansas City, but that is a reason I wouldn't completely rule it out just because he's going to get a massive deal, and the Chiefs could get a haul for him if they wanted to go that route. I would prefer to just keep him, pay him, and keep him around, but I wouldn't rule it out. We did not see that coming with Tyreek Hill last year. Kells in France, maybe? Which wide receiver do you think the Chiefs should trade for right now if it wasn't D-Hop? I don't think there's really anyone else I'm that interested in on the trade market right now. In terms of guys that are actually available, you could say T. Higgins. I don't think he's available. Stephon Diggs, he's not available. These are fun ideas to discuss, and we've discussed them before. But I think out of the guys who are actually gettable, Hopkins is really it. Brandon Cooks already went, so you're not getting Jerry Jeudy. Like, the Broncos aren't going to trade you one of their receivers within the division. So, I think I'd go D-Hop. Bill Chase here. The Chiefs draft Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. If he's there at 63, I'm in. I don't know if I'd take him at 31. There are a couple other tight ends I like better, but he's a stud, man. Really good tight end class this year in this NFL draft. All right, name a player you guys want to draft, and then we'll get to our next segment, which is a new mock draft. So stay tuned for that here. Who's a player you want? Someone says move up for Broderick. We got some Broderick Jones fans in the chat today, Sam. That's been a popular idea.
Yeah, it feels like he's been kind of the late riser at the tackle spot, outside of Darnell Wright, who's kind of made his way into the first round.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's been Paris Johnson, OT1 discussion, maybe Peter Skoronski if you see him as a tackle or if you see him as a guard.
If you want a bold prediction, Broderick Jones is the first offensive lineman would not shock me.
Wouldn't shock me. I don't see odds on my book yet. I checked this morning for NFL draft props.
I think teams are just really intrigued by his athleticism. Like, he's really athletic.
I think it's easier to develop when you're dealing with a player who's naturally athletic. There's more things that you can coach.
Yeah.
You can't coach that athleticism. You can't coach that mobility.
And that was kind of the problem.
You can't coach short arms,
honestly,
to be honest.
It was kind of the problem with Orlando Brown, who was a good player here, but he's just not a good athlete. So, like, he had his ceiling was clear. And I think they were finally like, look, like, we like you a lot, man, but we're not going to make you the highest paid left tackle. And that proved to be the case. I mean, he got $64 million on 4 years from Cincy, which is a nice deal, but
yeah,
he would have had more money the year before had he just taken it. So
I'm right there with you. As an OU alum, Orlando Brown, OU legend. Creed Humphrey, also OU legend.
I like Orlando Brown. We talked to him at the Super Bowl. Cool
really
dude. But I think they were finally like, look, you're not that athletic. Speed rushers beat you sometimes. So if they fall in love with one of these athletic dudes like Jones or Paris Johnson, I could see it.
There's one thing we do know by now. Brett Veach has got some huevos.
Oh,
and he's not afraid to flash
He's not
him.
scared to make a unpopular move either. I mean, the Tyreek Hill trade, I ripped it. I didn't like it, and he was right.
He's not afraid to get caught with a little public indecency, if you catch my drift. Not the actual.
No doubt about it. And look, if you're going to win Super Bowls, you got to have a GM that's willing to take calculated risks, and he has certainly been a guy that's been willing to do that. We'll hit this super chat, and then we'll hop into my brand new mock draft here, so stay tuned for that. But shout out to Zez, who's been sending in a couple of soups today. Shout out to you, my friend. He says, if Andy Reid did what Bill Walsh did after winning his second Super Bowl and drafted a dominant offensive weapon, would you rather have a wide receiver or tight end in this draft? In general, I like the tight end class better than the receiver class. I mean, you got what, 5 or 6 dudes? Dalton Kincaid, Darnell Washington, Michael Mayer. You got Musgrave out of Oregon State, who's pretty damn good. I'm missing another guy that could go top 50.
Talking about tight end?
Yes.
Sam Laporta out of Iowa has been in the mix.
He's another one. And then there's some guys like in the middle rounds.
Zach from Old Dominion. Zach
Kuntz.
Can't say it. Yeah, Kuntz. Good call.
He's pretty good. Schoonmaker out of Michigan, I think in like the 3rd or 4th could be good. Yeah, I mean, this tight end class goes like 10 deep. It's pretty damn good. So, there's more volume of receivers, but I think the top of the tight end draft is about as solid as it's been in quite a while.
The value is just incredibly different for tight ends.
Well,
it's crazy kind of the talk that's been around these two positions going up to the draft. Like last week, Harrison, I don't know if you caught the report that some teams see Jackson Smith and Jigba as the only round 1 wide receiver. I think there are multiple tight ends in this draft who will wound up being better players than some of the guys that will get drafted above them, but the relative value just makes it that much of a bigger difference.
Oh, it's kind of interesting how the tight end position has, kind of made a comeback here in recent years, because you look at all the good teams, right? Chiefs, Travis Kelce. Now, it's hard to find a Travis Kelce, but if you can find that mismatch nightmare that can give you yards after the catch, that's huge. George Kittle for the Niners, he's been a game wrecker. When Darren Waller has been healthy, he's been a mismatch machine. He's now with the Giants. I mean, the Eagles have had multiple tight ends in recent years that have made a lot of plays. Like, if you can get that guy who can just torch nickel corners and safeties and linebackers, like, it just opens up your entire offense. So if you're Kansas City with Travis Kelce set to be 34 years old and you feel like one of these dudes can be the heir apparent to him down the road, then yeah, like, I would absolutely be open to a tight end at 31 or at 63. So we'll see how it plays out here.
Very quick in-division news. The Chargers have re-signed Jalen Guyton, wide receiver, to a 1-year deal. I would like to go ahead and make his prediction. When are the Chiefs? The schedule is now, I guess, but I'm going to go ahead and predict his stat line against the Chiefs. 1 reception, -1 yards.
Okay. They'll try a bubble screen and it won't go anywhere.
Snead's going to blow it up. I'm calling it.
Let's go, Legarius. All right. Shout out to Zaz, Diaper Fund, shipping out toward that. All right, guys. One more segment here. 7-round mock draft. Logan says, yo, Harrison, you're back. I am. Paternity leave last week. We're back in better than ever today, trying to be at least. Here we go. Let's jump into this final segment. The NFL draft is almost here, which means it's time to cook up another Chiefs mock draft here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. And on today's show, as we are just mere days away from the 2023 NFL draft, I have done a full 7-round mock, including a big trade at the front here that we will get to momentarily. And I think Kansas City could be a team that trades up in the first round, so I wanted to make that happen for you guys. So that is how we are kicking off this mock draft. Trade alert. I'm moving up with the Baltimore Ravens, a team the Chiefs have traded with before, obviously, with Orlando Brown. Chiefs move up to 22, give up 31, 95, and then also 166. 31 and 95 just wasn't quite enough on the on the draft trade chart. If you're going to move up in round 1, you got to pay a slight premium. So I threw in a 5th rounder as well for the Chiefs to move up from 31 to 22. And I like this selection a lot. Myles Murphy, the edge out of Clemson, who could certainly go higher. He was still available here on this Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator. And I think he's a guy that if he can reach his untapped potential, he could be a 10 to 15 year really good pass rusher. Clemson player, 6.5 sacks last year, 1 forced fumble. At times, didn't make the play, but he was consistently in the backfield near the top of the country in pressures. And what I like about Myles Murphy is right away he's going to be a good run defender. He checks out as a run defender right away. He's 6'5", 270, can set the edge there. He's an incredible athlete. And if you look at this depth chart too, I don't think there'd be a lot of pressure to just come in and play a huge role right away. Like ideally, guys you draft in the first round, you want them to start, but we saw George Karlaftis. He was kind of a rotation player early on, and then mid-season really cranked it up and kind of took off the rest of the year. I think Murphy at 22 would be great value. He's a proven run defender, has the upside as a pass rusher. This guy ran, I think it was a 4.49 at 270 pounds at the combine. I mean, he is massive. He can move. He's a freak athlete. He just needs to fine-tune his pass rushing skills a little bit, which I think with NFL coaching, he'll be able to do that. And again, at worst, I think he's a really good run defender, like a DeMarcus Lawrence type who stops the run and is a solid pass rusher as well. Now, name a player that you would trade up for in this NFL draft. Like I just traded for Myles Murphy. Would you rather trade up for someone else, like a Broderick Jones or a Paris Johnson or maybe a Quentin Johnston, a Jackson Smith and Jigba? Let me know. Drop a name in the chat here that you would move up to trade up for. Next up, Cedric Tillman, round 2, pick number 63, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. He's kind of the forgotten man out of Tennessee because Jalen Hyatt's obviously been drawing a lot of buzz. Really good college player for the Volunteers. He obviously had a better 2021, but that's because he had an ankle injury in 22 that caused him to miss about half the season. But you look at his 21 campaign, 17 yards a catch. The big plays are there, a long of 70, had over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. He can challenge you vertically. He can go over the middle of the field with his 6'3", 210-pound frame. I think he's got a chance to be a number 1 in the NFL, but at worst, I think he'd be a 2 or 3. I like the size. I like the speed, even though it's not elite. It's good enough, and I think he would give you a different look on this offense. More of that big physical guy that can also stretch the field vertically. I think he would probably plug in and just be kind of a rotation guy as a rookie with the hope of being a high-level starter down the road. I think in round 2, the value is pretty good. Let's get to 42,000 subscribers here on the Chiefs Report. Our draft coverage is heating up with the NFL draft set to kick off next Thursday night. Don't miss any of it. Mock drafts. We'll do a fresh draft targets video, maybe some draft sleepers. Be on the lookout here. Let's get to 42,000 subs before the draft if we can. All right, next up here, no 3rd round pick because I made the trade there in round 1. Kobe Turner in round 4, pick number 121, the defensive tackle out of Wake Forest. I like this kid, man. Graded out really well with Pro Football Focus. Only had 2 sacks, but he had a bunch of pressures, good run stopper, 92.2 grade in the ACC. That's pretty damn good. I've seen some people call him just a poor man's Kalijah Kancey because the stature is kind of similar, undersized, but pretty athletic. I like Turner as a rotation defensive lineman. I think he can play some edge in a 4-3. He can play some 3-tech, rotate in there. He's not that different than a guy like Tershawn Wharton who went undrafted, but Turner was a better college player. I think he could come in, be a quality rotation guy. You lost Kalen Saunders in free agency. Come in and help replace some of that production. If you love the NFL draft, go subscribe to our draft-only YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 5,000 subs over there before the NFL draft. We're just over 800 subs away from 5,000. We've been bringing you draft coverage over there. Some Chiefs draft videos there as well. So if you want more Chiefs draft content, check us out over there. It's youtube.com/chatnfl. More draft videos to come between now and next Thursday. All right, elsewhere in the 4th round, Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end out of Michigan. I get him at 134 overall. I really like this tight end draft. Now, he's not one of the top end guys. Like, he's not a Darnell Washington or a Dalton Kincaid, but I think, Noah Gray, a guy who went in the 4th round compared to Luke Schoonmaker, I think Schoonmaker has much more potential as a receiving threat. I mean, he had 418 yards this past season for the Wolverines, 3 touchdowns, and that was a team that used 2 or 3 different tight ends throughout the season, and I think Schoonmaker could come in, be a tight end 2-3 type as a rookie, and then I'm not saying he'd be the heir apparent to Kelsey. I don't think he's that talented, but come be a part of this rotation, because I don't think the Chiefs are going to carry a fullback this year. I think Noah Gray and or Blake Bell will handle some of the fullback duties as Michael Burton signed with Denver, so I do think there's room for another tight end. Like I said, this draft is a great tight end class, and not just at the top. There's some good depth here, too, with guys like Schoonmaker, so keep an eye on that. I think late in the 4th round here, the value's good, and he's a guy that I think can contribute as a rookie. I really do. I think as a receiving threat, needs to improve as a blocker, but as a receiving threat, could give you some snaps right away. What do you guys think? Should the Chiefs draft a tight end this year? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. I would like to see it happen because I like this tight end draft, but get your thoughts down below. Corey Trice here in the 6th round, and listen, I'd be shocked if he fell this far, but in this mock he did. The value is just too good, man. Like, Brett Veach has a good track record of finding starting caliber corners in the 4th round and later. L'Jarius Sneed, one of the best slot corners in the NFL, obviously. Jalen Watson and Josh Williams last year were day 3 picks. They both got a lot of starting reps. I think Corey Trice could do the same. 6'3", over 205 pounds, 2 picks, 10 breakups last year. The athleticism is elite. If he's on day 3, solid day 3 prospect, man. Could he sneak into this day 2? I doubt it. I think 6th round is probably wishful thinking here, but he was available, and I can't control the simulators. I try to keep it as realistic as possible. And look, when you get into day 3, guys could slide, so maybe he would be one of those. But I think 4th round or later, to be honest, for Trice would be great value. And I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson in the 6th round would be incredible value. I've seen him get some round 4 buzz. I could see him going a little earlier. I think he's kind of established himself as the 6th quarterback prospect in this class. That's after the big 4 guys. Then Hendon Hooker is QB5. I think DTR is that 6th guy. Really productive 5th-year senior season for UCLA. Completed almost 70% of his passes. He's dual threat guy. Rushed for almost 650 and 12 extra touchdowns. Threw for 27. And with Chad Henne retiring, we've talked about this before. I think we even hit DTR before on this show. I think getting competition for Shane Buechele makes sense. And I like Shane Buechele. I do. I think he deserves the opportunity to win the backup quarterback job. He made this roster, or made this team as a UDFA, first on the practice squad and then onto the 53-man, and he's been around for 2 years. I think he deserves that opportunity, but I don't think you roll into camp with these 3 quarterbacks. Olodokun, he's an extreme project. I think drafting a guy on day 3 makes way too much sense, and a guy like DTR could be a fun developmental guy as a dual threat backup quarterback. Who do you think would be the better backup? Type SB for Shane Buechele, DTR for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think DTR definitely has better potential. Buechele obviously has the edge and experience here, but let me know, SB or DTR. All right, and we'll kind of reveal these last 2 quickly here. O'Shawn Mathis, the edge out of Nebraska, transferred from my alma mater, TCU, to Nebraska this past year. And was okay, had a few sacks. I've always liked his size and athleticism. Has never really reached his full potential. 6'5", 250 though. He's got pretty good size. I think, round 7, that's good value. And then Jake Witt, the offensive tackle out of Northern Michigan. I talked about him on our Bears channel, and he is an interesting player, man. I mean, he was a college basketball player at another small school in Michigan, transferred because of his major, wasn't even playing sports, was a dual sport athlete in college, got the itch to play football again, played tight end his first year at Northern Michigan. COVID season hits. The next year there's injuries. They need help at tackle, and he's become this guy who might get drafted. I mean, it's a great story. Good athleticism with that basketball background. I think is a really deep developmental guy that you could probably stash on the practice squad here. Would be a fun player for the Kansas City Chiefs. Grade this mock draft A, B, C, D, or F. How do you guys feel I did on this mock? Obviously, the Chiefs have 10 picks. I made 8 because of that trade up in round 1, but I was a fan of doing that. Here's a recap of our selections here. Myles Murphy, the edge out of Clemson, moving up from 31 to 22. I get Cedric Tillman, the Tennessee receiver, in round 2. No third-round pick. Kobe Turner in round 4, the defensive tackle out of Wake, and then Michigan tight end Luke Schoonmaker in the 4th round as well. A couple of 6th-round picks, Purdue corner Corey Trice and UCLA quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and then a couple of 7th-rounders, O'Shawn Mathis, the Nebraska edge, and Northern Michigan offensive tackle Jake Witt going there in the 7th round. There you have it. There's our Chiefs mock draft with trades. We'll probably have one more mock draft drop next week before the NFL draft, so be on the lookout for that. We'll have some other draft content between now and then as well. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. This is the channel to be at with the NFL draft just around the corner. All right, guys, I'll get some shout-outs here. Tad gave it a D. I think there will be some mixed thoughts at that trade-up in round 1, but I thought Myles Murphy sitting there at 22 was too good a value. Edge is a need, and I think he could be a good one. Apex says C. Tony saying B. C+ from Kev. Bill Chase says A. Travis says, I'm always having Nathaniel Dell follow me in the second when doing mocks. Is he a legit guy? So Nathaniel Tank Dell, the wide receiver out of Houston, 5'8", 165, very small.
Best name in the draft.
He's electric, though. Like, in space, he's electric, but...
What's a better name, Tank or Deuce?
Deuce Vaughn's a good one. I'll give Tank the slight edge.
Yeah,
the slight
I think
edge.
Tank's it.
B from Zez.
Follow-up question, what's a better name, Tank or Kool-Aid?
Tank. Kool-Aid's...
It's Tank. But yeah. Kool-Aid's great for the NIL. Shout out to Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yes. There's no doubt. All right, guys. Oh, someone's asking if I'm going to the draft. Not going to the draft. I would love to be there. It's in KC. I just had a newborn, though. I can't be traveling right now. So we'll be here in the studios, and we'll be breaking down all these picks. So another reason to subscribe. Appreciate the love and the support. Again, everyone who reached out to me after my wife and I had our baby. Shout out to all of you. Appreciate that. There's a picture of the 3 of us there. We're back home now. That was in the hospital, and all is well. We're having a good time with everything. So appreciate all of that support. Shout out to the Diaper Fund donators today. You guys are legends. Subscribe for more Chiefs content. Shout out producer Sam. Any parting words?
I'm starting to consider whether we need to start making the Diaper Fund Hall of Fame and just really. Ooh. And just really have a time with.
I kind of like the diaper donators.
The Diaper Fund Funders was the one I went with earlier in the show.
Okay, I like that. I like it.
The PJ Defenders.
We'll work on that. We'll try and figure something out. Shout out to all of you. Shout out Sam for producing. I'm Harrison Graham signing off here on the Chiefs Report.